Hello and welcome to the Pro Detailer podcast. We are here, just Ian and myself.
Hello.
It is New Year's Eve as we record this, and well, Ian, how was your Christmas?
It was all right. It was fairly. I went down to Essex and ended up going for a walk on the beach.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was
pretty
much it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's one way of celebrating.
Fairly anticlimactic, really, but it gets that way as you get older, doesn't it?
Yes, it just becomes
Just throw
mundane.
presents at children and hope it keeps them quiet long enough.
Well, you made the mistake of spawning. We have had a child-free zone. It's brilliant.
Yes, but you've got 5 dogs as well, though.
Yeah, I know, but I can
Which
put
you
them
have
in
to buy
boxes.
presents for, I know. And put them in little Santa's hats that don't look at all like ball carriers.
I would like to deny that, but my partner Charlie she's got stockings with names of dogs on, and I spent about 20 minutes putting up hooks so that they could be lined up in front of the television.
Did you tell them that Santa?
I didn't.
Thing like that.
No, I just because Charlie and I did no presents to ourselves, so because we're saving money at the moment, so we cancelled the trip to Norfolk we had, and we did no presents, so we basically just sat there and watched Harry Potter, and then we both got the flu, which we've had all week, and so this is my second day up and about, and so I apologise for sounding even more nasal than normal, but it's all good. The fever is now at 38 degrees, which is an improvement.
I thought it was warmer in here.
In here it's 12 degrees.
Yeah,
which
that's
is
fab.
pretty tropical for my office, to be fair. I like to run it around the 10 mark, keeps people away.
Stops the decomposition.
It does, it slows it right down. But anyway, we are gathered here not to talk about our
Dearly
failed
beloved
Christmases. Yes. But just before Christmas, hopefully you will notice that Pro Detailer magazine issue 16 was released. And we did a pretty good job of getting it out in time, but then Royal Mail decided to have a strikey.
Well, Royal Mail have been striking for a long time, so it's made lots of things difficult. Getting products in time, massive delays on that, trying to fit things in at the last minute. It's been fun with them, but we got it out about 5 days earlier than normal, and I know some people received it before Christmas, and bizarrely some that I sent second class 3 or 4 days before Christmas arrived the following day, and some that were sent first class the week before to this day still haven't arrived, and I am getting quite a few messages from people saying, oh, my copy hasn't arrived. So yes, come Tuesday. Marvellous consistency again there.
It is, yeah. But there's no
definitely
location.
pay them more.
Well, one got to blooming York, to Fisher and York in the following day, and then I had people who were just down the road in Swindon who hadn't received
There was obviously somebody walking in that general direction. Yeah, I'll drop it at the post at the end of the road, it's all right. Don't know why they're all from Gloucestershire up there.
In Swindon, I don't know, they're probably eating it or something. But anyway, so we thought we would do a little casual podcast where we just run through it and kind of reveal our experiences behind the magazine, and then briefly talk about our plans for 2023, which is a matter of hours away.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good of 2022 to get all the last-minute deaths out of the way. Pele and Vivian Westwood.
It was Vivian Westwood, yes.
And the old Pope.
Yes, he snuffed it this morning, didn't he? Yeah, in a puff of white smoke.
He reminded me too much of the
Hogwarts.
Demon Headmaster.
Does he?
He had those sort of slightly glowy eyes about him. That may be a religious thing, I don't know. But
I generally quite careful on criticising leaders of various religions, just in case they turn out to be right. It's going to be terribly awkward as a random atheist just turning up at purgatory going, hello, so...
Oh, we're all here then. At least it's warm, not 12 degrees.
Awkward, yes. Shut up. So, without further ado or heresy, the issue 16 obviously starts with the front cover, and
it's very traditional for a publication to have a front cover.
A front cover, and really, we've spent a long time on this. So, without going into too much detail, all I'd like to say is that photo with a Lamborghini with the outline of a chap called Davey holding his battery-powered Flex is actually a genuine photo. As in, we did a long exposure and spent over an hour and a half just getting the lighting right. And it's not all sort of photoshopped or jiggery-pokery. It's a genuine photo that we then did a lot of jiggery-pokery with just to get things right and sort of draw the eye where we wanted it to be drawn. So it was a fun one to do. I think the most enjoyable front cover.
Yeah, those hexagons weren't there on the day. The yellow hexagons on the front.
The yellow hexagons, they're additional. Yeah.
I'm going to take credit for those.
Okay, well, good work.
I can draw a six-sided shape.
Hang on, I've got a medal around here somewhere. I'll just give it that to you. So moving on from the front cover, we've got. Oh, I went full beard on the editor photo. We go into the news, and there are lots of interesting things happening around the place. Wax stock details, for example. That's going to be a day and a half affair, which will be super fun.
Yeah, that was great fun because originally we emailed them a week before we went to print and said, all right, can we print any details about all the dates that we already know about? Frankly, that you're keeping under wraps. No, we're keeping them under wraps for now. We don't want to send anything out. And then a day after we sent it to print on their social media,
it went public.
These are the dates for wax stock.
Well, we had
Dear
published
printers,
it.
Can we just make a slight change to the wording of, it's unofficial? No, this is actually what's happening now.
This is now official. Well,
Thanks for that.
We had it right. We did have it right.
It was unofficial when we did it. Unfortunately, print doesn't work quite as quickly as social
digital,
media.
No. But anyway, what's in the magazine is true and accurate and correct. And the upshot is that the 22nd and 23rd of July is when it's going to happen, and it's a day and a half, and that's going to be super fun. And setup is Friday and Saturday morning.
Still in Coventry, though.
Still in Coventry. Yeah. Could be worse. Could be Peterborough.
Could be better. Could be anywhere else.
Moving on. A little bit of update news. JPD Distribution JPD Products is our new distribution partner in Benelux, i.e. Belgium, Holland and Luxembourg.
Netherlands.
The Netherlands.
That's the ne in Benelux.
Ah, I didn't join those stats.
Really?
No. That makes more sense, though.
That's quite scary, really.
Yeah, no, I am very stupid. So that's cool. And they have literally pallets of magazines. So if you're in the Benelux region, go to them and they'll be able to supply you. Ditto if you are a reseller in any of those areas and have a little shop or a detail of the shop and would like to sell the magazine. There are loads in the country now, and all the export-import charges have been paid, and it's quick delivery. So in a post-Brexit world, it's the only way we could do it.
Mm-hmm. Last bit of news on that, it was the ceramic coating poll. Yeah, it was a bit of a random one. I can't remember exactly why we did. We started doing a lot of polls a little while ago that actually had some relevance in what we were putting into the magazine. So we asked about how bothered people were about green credentials, for example, and that makes it into a sort of a little bit of information on an article later on. But this one, we were just interested to see what the favourite ceramic coating was of the masses at the time, because
Well, for me, you see, the issue was I'm always terrified of getting tunnel vision or Britishitis, as in I sit there and I think, right, well, because on my news feed, this is what I'm seeing, this must be the same for everybody in the whole world.
Dog stockings.
Yeah. And so it's just to have a broader thing. And this is by no means saying this is the best coating. It's just what people kind of, what's in their mind, what's there in their, I don't want to say imagination.
It's a popularity contest.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that's sales for you. Sales is a popularity contest.
It is, yeah. And it's all sorts of, flawed bits in the research, like if one of the manufacturers decides to go to town and share the post and encourage lots of people to do it or bung it in their newsletter, of course it's going to go higher. But it was an interesting one. We won't put the results here, but they are in the magazine, the first sort of 20 or so, and I think the list was ultimately 100 and something brands. It's interesting where
I hadn't seen what number 6 was. That's oh god, that's really clickbait, isn't it? Oh, you won't believe what number 6 is.
Moving on.
That wasn't intentional, but I generally, I do spend quite a lot of time putting this magazine together, so I've got time to read every single detail on it.
No,
I didn't realise they were in there.
Yeah, no, and so I went around and did a list initially, and then we had lots of people say, "Oh, put this in, put that in, put the other thing in." Often I'd put it in, and then one person would vote for it, so it was fairly pointless. But,
sorry, what are we talking about now?
The names, brands.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Yes.
So it's going to be lube involved.
No, not on this podcast. That's a different podcast.
We don't have lube.
Links in the description. That takes us into the car care adventures, and my God, we had some car care adventures this year.
Hang on, we've got to turn the page. Hang on. Oh yeah, we did, didn't we?
Yeah. Well, we kicked off. First of all, and this was literally weeks after issue 15 came out. I was in Coventry.
It was literally days after.
It was days after. I'd been up north for work for some reason, and then came down and stayed in the most ridiculous hotel on the motorway that was big and fancy but horrible at the same time, and it was on a last minute 35 quid deal, and it was full of wedding parties and stag parties.
Was that when you were on your way back down from Newcastle?
Yes. No, I think I'd buried somebody.
Because you had some interesting hotels up there, but I think we're going to that later on.
Yes. No, that was curious. But anyway, so we went to Slim's Day, and they've got a lovely little setup out in Coventry, and they've got a shop and stuff like that. And the shop's got a little warehouse next to it, and they've got a little detailing studio, and it's really kind of nice and kind of easy to go around. They've got the kind of full range as well there. But what I really want to say about Slim's was a big thank you, really, because we obviously try to contact all the manufacturers direct all around the world. Some are responsive, some less so. But Slims have always been so forthcoming in getting us new products to test and new information and stuff like that. And it's mostly down to our contact there, Andrew, who's been on a podcast. Do have a listen. So yeah, no, big thank you for that, because we've got some really cool stuff through from them.
I don't know what it is about Coventry. I say in the intro to it, there's probably some sort of demon hellspawn sort of volcano for detailing around Coventry that draws people into it for some unknown reason. It's like there's one village in China that makes something like 80% of the world's socks. This is what Coventry appears to be trying to do for detailing, bringing everything in there, because you've got Waxstock pulling people in there. We always seem to be going to Coventry. I bought a car from Coventry once.
Oh god, that was the A5 that blew up, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it blew up for not reasons that it originated from Coventry, but.
True, and it's the other car that you looked at, another A5 at the same time. I seem to remember driving you into a very rough area of London and meeting on a roof of a kind of multi-storey.
You think anywhere out of Knightsbridge is rough in London?
It was true. I hate London, full stop. I get all urban things. I think we should all live in caves. But yeah, and that car was even shonkier. But anyway, enough of that. So yeah, it was a good day there, and I think they're doing lots more open days for 2023, which takes us to, frankly, our most comical trip we've had in a long, long time, and that includes the trips that we've done in knackered old Subarus, hundreds of miles with Brummy photographers.
Just say Subarus.
Huh?
Just say Subarus.
Not all my Subarus have got a Brummy photographer in.
There's the omission there.
But yeah, we went to Automechanica. We broke our Automechanica cherry, popped it, so to speak, and we took an inordinate amount of stuff. So a little bit of background here. I like driving places because you can put all your stuff in the car and drive, and nothing bad happens. I mean, it does, but you've always got your car to retreat to, and it's that's not.
That's not the sound of brakes falling off. Is it?
No. Oh well, we did have that last time. Yeah, the brakes failing at high speed. That was fun. But anyway, so this time there was an executive decision made that we were going to fly with our Roadcast podcast kit, which is a huge flight case, with all our camera gear, with toothbrush and knickers, etc. And so early one morning we were at T5 pod parking, and we had so much stuff it barely fitted in the pod. That's how much stuff we had. And yeah, I mean, do you want to take up the narrative here, Ian?
I'm literally reading through it, trying to remember it now. It was that bloody long ago. I remember slightly falling asleep in the pod at one point, even though it was only a 10-minute journey. That was fun. In terms of T5, was that when I had my knackered case as well?
Yes.
Yeah, I literally walked in through the doors to the terminal. One of the wheels fell off of my my suitcase.
I was towing, I can't remember why, but I was towing your case, and the wheels exploded. The rubber bits exploded because the bearings had knackered.
Well, it's because I was taking two cases, the two medium cases, so you took
the big hunky one.
Case.
Yeah. And
thank you.
And so everywhere we went throughout the airport, we made enough noise to make the armed police twitchy, which add in my beard and sense of humour.
And the fact they were already pretty twitchy.
It's pretty, yes, it's not good. So the plane was a bit late, I think, and then we get to Frankfurt, and we get out the airport, which is a building site at the time, and the hotel.
It basically looks like an underground road.
Yes,
it's just a thoroughfare, and there were no obvious bus stops anywhere in sight. We just kind of look around. There was a shuttle bus, but there was no information on what that shuttle bus did. Does it go to the moon? Does it go back to Heathrow? Does it go to the doorstep of our hotel? Turns out, and you'll love this, it goes to the doorstep of our hotel, but we didn't know that.
No.
So we looked on Google Maps.
And there are two terminals at Frankfurt, and we landed at one of them, and the hotel was at the other. And I looked at a map, and I'm a bit Ray Mears underneath, and decided that we could walk it. Bear in mind, it's raining. It's a building site. We go through various "do not enter," at your own death and peril. But it was all in German, and I don't speak German, so it doesn't apply to me. So we went through some of those areas, and then we went the wrong direction. And anyway, cut forward 10 minutes later, and we're on an autobahn on the hard shoulder that doesn't exist in the pouring rain.
Rattly suitcase.
With all these rattly suitcases.
But to be fair, you couldn't hear the rattly suitcases over the Mercedes slightly cream yellow taxis flying past
by 155 miles an hour, honking their horns at us, and I don't think it was sexual. And
maybe not for you.
You were walking oddly. And anyway, so after about just under an hour or so, we do get back to the terminal, which there is a 2-minute shuttle bus to that's, dry. And because we're penetrating the airport from a wrong direction, we basically go over all the high security barriers and stuff like that and look like really useless terrorists. And we get to the hotel, soaking wet, cold, a bit angry.
Past an entire Honda delegation of having a big expo in the hotel at the time.
They were having Honda cuddles, and get to the hotel, and of course they don't actually have a room for us. It was supposed to be organised by the organisers, but because we were a day later than they thought we were coming, despite emails, we ended up basically sat for an hour and a half being told, no, you're going to be homeless in Frankfurt. So we went to the ops room and had difficult decisions, Pilsner or Scotch. And then we went out to dinner. We met Bob Eichelberg, which was fun.
Oh, we did actually have a room sorted by the end of that meeting.
Yeah. Well, it was mostly because of my flirting with the girl at the desk, who was definitely keen.
I mean, you could barely hear the vomiting.
That's true. Yeah. Well, she got me a room that overlooked the autobahn that was nearly my place of death, and you had a room that overlooked the airport, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah, yours was prettier. So
very plain view.
Hey, but I'm sure. And so we went out, met Bob Eichelberg, who is ex-Flex, current Lake Country, absolute legend, hilarious, despite being American. And various other people. I've been sworn not to names drop this time, so I'm just eyeing Ian in a just a
vaguely sexual manner. Apparently,
well, that's my look, baby. So then, following day, we go to the show. It's huge. I mean, I did the maths in here. You'll be able to find out all the relative sizes, but it makes the NEC look like a kind of porter cabin. Basically, that's how big the Messe Frankfurt is. And we actually on the first day we go to the right entrance, and all the other days we managed to go to the wrong entrance and have to walk about 3 years. Which is a unit of distance in space, and to find our place. But anyway, it was good. What else we did? We did podcasts. We did
three podcasts while we were out there. We requested originally ahead of time that we could have like a small room somewhere just to do podcasts in, just out of the way, and we had a hangar.
That was fun.
Literally,
which we weren't actually given. We kind of took it.
Well, no, we were directed to go in there by somebody that was vaguely connected with, which was officially connected with Automechanica. Whether they had the authority to do that or not, I don't know. But
I'm not so
nobody
sure.
bothered objecting, so we carried on until
they did object.
Until the seats were subtly moved out of the way, the doors locked, and security posted on the entrances. At which point we went, fair enough, maybe they're not so welcoming.
Yeah,
we did do a third one whilst we were there, and I will mention this. Because the two podcasts that have gone out that we did there were with Reggie and with Andreas. Both really good podcasts.
Reggie of Labo Cosmetica, Andreas of Nanolex.
Both such good fun to talk to about it. And we also then did a third podcast, by which time we'd been booted from our hangar.
Special place.
And did it on the stand at Soft 99, which was another interesting podcast, but unfortunately there was so much bloody background noise.
Yeah.
We could do nothing with the audio on it at all. There was a steamer Hoover manufacturer next to them that would fire up engines every sort of 30 seconds, and at the time over the headphones it sounded okay. There was a little bit of background, but we thought we'd isolated it enough. We got back and
pretty terrible.
So we're going to have to redo that one at some point, but that could be a future visit we may have planned.
Yes, indeed. Well, we met up with loads of people. It was cool. Flex had a party there, which was fun. We went up to the press office and nearly got arrested. What happened there? We got quite lost in Frankfurt. I did navigating again.
Got lost just going around Messe Frankfurt.
Yeah,
it's not just one hall. It's like the NEC is technically it's one building is the NEC
ish. Yeah.
Ish. this is a community effectively of lots of halls all put together, and big hall and little halls and big tower block offices and things like that.
Put it this way, they have the horizontal escalator things that you get in airports when you're flying Ryanair, and they've put you on like gate 4 million at the end of it and given you 3 minutes to get there.
The NEC has that though.
Does it?
Yeah, when you go for the car park at the far end by the train station.
Well, I'm always press parking, so you know. Anyway, so it was good to meet up with people there. We met up with Nanlex, with Colourlock, with Lake Country, with Soft 99, with Koch Chemie, with Labo. Labo had basically a village there. It was very cool. And
Karcher had a very cool stand with lots of backlit bright chemicals on there. I'm not sure how many of the actual chemicals.
That was fun. IK had a very cool Porsche there. Talking to IK, which is cool. And then there was lots of demonstrations by Auto Le Caffin, who had people like Sonax and Scholl on hand to help them. So yeah, Automechanica was fun, and it's quite an entertaining article because of our various struggles. Even the return flight was not straightforward when we were locked in a tiny little room for 2.5 hours with all the cancelled flights that we were supposed to be in.
Yeah, thanks BA.
Yeah, that was pretty.
Well, it's when they moved the gate as well, so they had sat there for an hour and a half at one gate, and they were like, "Yeah, we know it's going to be delayed. But we're not going to tell you. You know it's going to be delayed. We know it's going to be delayed. We don't need to say anything, do we? But if you could all just move to the next gate down, so it doesn't seem like you've been sat in one place for an hour and a half.
Yes.
You can sit there for another hour and a half, but we won't open the shop because you don't need to. You know.
Yeah.
But I think the shop opened for all of half an hour, and everyone just descended on there buying Pringles and sandwiches and toilet rolls.
Prices.
It was like COVID all over again. It was terrible.
It was terrible, and basically there were supposed to be 3 flights leaving Frankfurt to London that day, and they'd cancelled the first 2, so it was an absolute bum scrum to get there. And that wasn't a gig. We were supposed to leave at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. We didn't get home until about 1 or 2 in the morning. But anyway, this brings us back to Aldershot, and we'll see John at Clean and Shiny. We've got some more coming up on that later, so I'll keep it sweet. And then Furniture Clinic, I went all the way up to Concept, which is like the far northeast. Very, very pretty.
Again with a Gloucestershire accent.
Yeah, obviously. And I had a couple of days there, actually, and it was great with Adam and co. Walking around. They've got a huge facility, and they make everything in-house, so we get to see lots of sort of chemicals being made and bottled and labelled and stuff like that. And we also did a bit of steering wheel restoration, and they had a training day on, so that was a good trip. Then we went to Holland and again, or the Netherlands apparently, and had more debacles, mostly because somebody was moving house on a back of a lorry during the little country lanes that we lived down, and that added 20 minutes. And I always leave in every hour I leave 20 minutes slack because of organisation, and we lost all of those 20 minutes there. And then
I'm not going to say everybody had a non-local accent that was moving the house on the back of the lorry, but I think it's assumed, and I don't think we need to be any more, specific to the area.
Yeah, I wasn't even going to touch on that, but yeah, with that, and then we get in there, and we've got Remco, bless him, from Glands, who come to pick us up, and somebody decided to die in the before they get onto the plane that we were just getting off. So lots of men in white coats had to come around and talk to each other about it, and they erected a little tent, and then that was carted off. But anyway, it made us about an hour late, and I had a grandstand view of the whole thing through my little window. It was interesting. So
I just saw the other window with all the planes arriving and loading up new passengers and then leaving, and then another one arriving at the gate next door, because we couldn't walk the extra 10 feet around to go into another entrance.
No, well, it took him so long to get the tent up. By the time they'd actually moved the body out, they'd just finished erecting the tent, so then they ended up having to take down the tent, which took another 20 minutes. If it wasn't so sort of dark, it would have been amusing.
I thought you were going to say Dutch.
No. And then we ended up in a lovely part of Rotterdam full of young people and funky buildings and mattresses in waters. And we had we had a day at Glands, which was so Glands are run by Remco, and they are importers for Labo Cosmetica. And he's got a cool setup there. It's like a warehouse, a shop, a training for practical stuff, a training area, and then a classroom upstairs. And we were there for interior cleaning, a day on basically fabric cleaning with the new Glico product, which is a sort of acid-based cleaner. We learnt a lot. It was fascinating. What was most hilarious was that they'd sent up some Italian trainers to train the Dutch, but the Italians didn't speak Dutch. So the Italians spoke English, which then the Dutch then translated to Dutch. and then arguments happened, so it had to be then translated 2 times back in order to have the debate. So it was entertaining and informative. And then the following day, we went to JPD, who are, as I mentioned, our new distributors, and they've got a very cool warehouse, and again, a shop and a chill-out area and a training classroom and all sorts of things. They're in Dordrecht, which is pretty much Belgium. I mean, it's very much on the border. It's a bit further south than Rotterdam. We spent the day there, got a cover shot. They've got some very cool vans as well.
Got a cool upstairs there as well, the 50s diner.
Yes, American themed. Yeah. with one-arm bandits and diner chairs and slightly worryingly full-size cardboard cutouts of racing drivers. Which was a bit disturbing, and then
not even a famous racing driver.
No, Verstappen or something. Jossie Verstappen. Yeah, I don't know. He did not as good as
successful ones like Hamilton.
Yeah, not like Nigel Mansell.
Great moustache. Great moustache.
Yes. Mansell's my hero. Just based it on
I kind of had to base
hair.
more as a Damon Hill guy.
Damon Hill had hair too.
Yes,
but mostly after his...
That's quite normal for humans.
Yes, that's how I've read, yes. But yeah, no, he grew more hair since retiring. The best moustache actually was his dad, Graham Hill. He had a proper, Dick Dastardly style moustache. Anyway, we digress. I ended up again on the top of a telescopic forklift truck, not a normal one, but one that goes super high for warehouses, and I was in the roof space of this 5-story warehouse with a camera.
Not a 5-story. I suppose it depends if you're a hobbit or not.
If you're a hobbit, it's a 10-story, massive. It was.
I mean,
I always end up.
The building is literally 2 stories because there are 2 floors on it.
Yeah, but I had this at Flex. I was in another of these insane things.
Well, yeah. Well,
in Germany
the choice was between you and me. So
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm always the one sent to do the dangerous stuff. Anyway, so they were there, and that's where we got the cover shot, and it was fun. Then we went to the NEC in Birmingham, and it was great to see a couple of people. There weren't that many, but we saw Jewel, which was cool. We saw More Than Polish. We saw Sam's Detailing, and Megs were there, and stuff like that. And it was actually an interesting day. And I'll tell you what, the standard of cars at the NEC is going up.
I remember. Do you want to talk about that roving eye car?
The Citroen.
Yeah, the little box cutout at the top.
That was super cool. So it's a Citroen XM, I'm going to say. Yeah, it looks like a Citroen XM. That was basically as a replica of the BBC racing car, horse racing camera cars that kind of bounce along or don't bounce specifically beside the horses, so you get steady photos of the person who's riding a horse that's going to lose you money. And the kit in there was awesome, and it was a working replica as well. It was pretty cool. And actually my favourite car that I wasn't allowed to put in there, but there was a Morris Minor, and I was going to hope that there was a photo, but it looks like it didn't make the cut. A Morris Minor that was actually Super Impreza underneath, so they'd put all sorts of bits, even the point where it had a little tiny chrome exhaust pipe sticking out, and then I got underneath and had a look, and it's got a whopping great big 3-incher throbbing away there. So that was a cool car, and there was some funky paint as well. But anyway, then we had a colour lock training day where you were there, Ian. I wasn't. I was in Cornwall at the time.
Yeah, that was fab because we had Michael Marks come over as well. So it was kind of the first chance for Colour Lock to reconnect effectively with their UK repair network. They're peeps. Yeah. So that was great. Had Lars over as well. Massive amounts of information from that guy. We actually spent the day before restoring a Chesterfield sofa, just 'cause it's something that none of us ever really touched on before, and start to finish, because that's what Lars used to do before Colour Lock. Everything like that, he's always been
furniture man,
an actual leather repairer.
Yep.
So he knows his stuff, and it was just amazing seeing some of the techniques go through these multi-layered build-up for doing Chesterfield, that sort of antiqued effect, and then going over with salt and after just wiping off wear areas to make it look aged again. And
that's cool.
No, that was great fun.
Yeah. I was in Cornwall at Classic Modern Retro taking photos of some very cool cars. So that was a good morning. It was supposed to be just an hour or so. I ended up being there, I think, 4 or 5 hours. Told the missus I would be back by lunchtime. Didn't go to plan. And then we got a little bit on all the PVD assessments around the country. We've done quite a few.
Sorry, didn't you get attacked by a Dalmatian?
It was, I would say, intent to attack. It basically took real offence to my camera, and I like dogs. I go up to, it's a thing I've been doing since I was a kid, hence I've been bitten so many times. I go up to any dog in any mood with teeth of any size and go and pet it.
Yours or the dog's?
Dogs.
Okay.
And this particular dog took offence at my camera and just kept on giving me me evils. So I thought, I'm just going to go up and say hello and just, break the ice. And I got to about 5 foot, and I thought, you know what? I like my fingers, my remaining fingers.
Did you call it Spot?
No,
because that would piss me off if I was a Dalmatian. Yeah, real original there, guy.
Yeah,
call me Spot.
No, I don't go.
Do I call you
first
Chubbs? No.
You do.
No, I'm still speaking to the dog. Obviously, I call you Chubbs.
Yeah. So next we're looking at the new products, and this year, well, for this issue rather, the new products were interesting because, firstly, not that many came out.
Well, no, not many in certain categories came out.
Yeah.
There were a lot of new products out. I think we had sort of 60 or so come into us.
Yeah, although when I say new, so interesting new products, the other thing. So every time we do new products, we get a whole load sent into us, and we pick from those. So not everything sent in gets in, much to the irritation of some manufacturers. And so there was a bit of a struggle in certain categories, but then hardware was pretty strong. And then the most annoying thing is SEMA, and it's a bit of a whinge really. Is that a lot of these manufacturers are bringing out products at SEMA, but they haven't even told their distribution partners in the UK about it. So
they're bringing out pre-production versions, so it's not actually going to be available for another 5 or 6 months. But here it is because we paid for SEMA, so better launch something.
Well, also there are some that are out in America available to buy, but the UK disty I was talking to says, well, we don't expect to get any until June, and I'm like, well, that's not very useful. So when you release a product, make sure that in advance loads of people, and send it to us in advance as well. We've got quite a few manufacturers we work with them under embargo, so that means they'll send us stuff, but we're not allowed to even mention it to anywhere or anything until an agreed date, which for us is always our publication date, and that works really well because we get a chance to test it and play with it and photograph it, and so that when you do your big release, we're ready with a review to say that your brand new product is either good or pants. Do that. That'd be good. But anyway, cracking through some interesting new products on there. Forced X to start off with in the pre-wash was interesting, which is a turned up version of Force, which we really liked.
I really liked that this Ultimate Snow Foam from Chemworks. Now, I'm always there's 2 really good snow foams out in this issue, but the Chemworks one, I'm always very what's the word?
Dick.
I'm very dick about things. Yes, I am. Skeptical, I suppose, about new snow foams coming out because there's not a massive range in good and bad snow foams, which is actually something we go on to later in this issue. And getting any new tech into the product, it's just like trying to shoehorn things in, and eventually you're going to have, that one's got gold flake in it now or something. But this one from Chemworks was actually set up. I don't know if it was just we nailed the dilution, the settings,
the perfectly. Temperature, the hardness, but
it went absolutely perfectly. It's just how decent dwell time, good cleaning power, stayed on there, wasn't too thick, washed away nice and easily. It was just really nice.
Yeah,
a nice surprise.
Yeah, it's a pH neutral one, and for my kind of feeling is I wouldn't say I'm anti pH neutral, but I never personally, when I'm doing kite, I never use a pH neutral snow foam. I always use something with a bit of bite, and this one of the pH neutrals is one of my favourite.
To be fair, when you're hammering in nails, you use a sledgehammer rather than an actual hammer.
Yeah, but that's just me.
It'll just do it quicker though.
Yes, damn straight. Other things in the pre-wash. So Gliptone have a pair of pre-washes. So they've actually patented bizarrely a multi-phase wash and decontamination thing in America. So you can go and have a look at that because it's just hilarious, frankly. I'm a bit cynical about all that, but they do have 2-stage pre-wash. They have an acidic pre-wash and an alkaline pre-wash, and I used it on the little MG, and I was actually really impressed by it to the point where I've kept it aside for more usage rather than just put in the bin. Not in the bin, but in the we have a tub for stuff that's kind of right done that, moved on. That'll go into a competition or something like that. So we'll see how that rolls.
GT Snow Foam V2 as well came out, which is kind of dialed up where V1 was, which was already a very good snow foam. Again, it's kind of this, you're getting incremental gains. You're getting maybe 5% better, but still better.
Exactly. It's evolution rather than revolution.
And if you get 5% better every year after 5 years, it's going to be 25% better.
Yeah.
I do maths.
I like the Carbon Collective hybrid shampoo. That was fun. We got quite a few Car Guards products in, and some of them were kind of what I describe as middle of the road. So their APC, for example, was middle of the road. Their clay lube was good, but the clay bar was a bit hard to use. However, they had an engine cleaner called Bay Immaculate, which I used on Boris, the Many Mile Outback, and I was really impressed with that. That was a genuine, like, okay, this is a standout product, so that was cool. Lots of QDs and bits.
A couple of new panel wipes out, one from Victech. Rupes have finally brought out a panel wipe, which...
Well, they brought out two?
Yes, 2 panel wipes. They unveiled those at SEMA, I believe, didn't they?
We haven't actually tested them. We were given sort of photos and told they will arrive soon.
I know, poor Matt was tearing his hair. He wasn't tearing his beard out anymore because he hasn't got a beard.
No.
He was tearing his hair out a little bit because he couldn't get the final product over to us in time. But they're not going to be bad at all, are they?
No, and we will test them in due course and be able to say whether they are standout good or kind of average.
It's just amazing that it's taken from this amount of time, because when we went to Rupes last year, what was it?
It was last.
It's still last. Technically, it's still last year because we are in 2022.
Yeah, but I thought it was this year. No, it was last year, wasn't it?
It was last November last year. We went over there. And they've stepped up the chemical side of their production ability, so they do all their compounds and everything like that. And it's just amazing that for a company that only deals with the polishing side of things, that it's taken that long for a panel wipe to become available from them. And fair enough, they probably spent a lot of time developing it, and to bring out 2 different ones shows that they've actually put some thought into it rather than making one ring to rule them all.
Yeah, and that is a thing. We've been talking quite a bit about panel wipes in recent issues and pointed out there is fast and slow, and Rupes have addressed both requirements rather than trying to squeeze it into one.
Yeah. And then you've got the 3D one, which is a much slower version, and I think this is kind of quite a good one to... if you're going to try and do like a wash-off panel wipe as well, because it's
quite well lubricated.
Detergenty,
yeah, it's lubricant is what they focus on there, and it definitely has its place. Other brands where we've got a couple of Malcos in, which is quite fun.
Their Revive new, the trim store that you put on the A2.
Yes, and so I tried it initially on the kind of boot protector of the Outback, and it didn't impress there. But then I put it on the front grille of the A2 Audi, and that was really good. And to this day, even yesterday when I was pootling about in it, and I'd look, and it's still a noticeable darkening effect and noticeable protection, beading, all the rest of it. So that's a really interesting product. And Malco, you can get through Slims. Slims are the official distributor. We actually got ours from JPD, who do a lot of it in Netherlands. It's something I think there'll start to be a bit more of demand for Malco with products like this, because they're good, strong products.
Malco is Slims now in the UK, isn't it?
It has been for a while, yeah.
It was over... who did it over in east side of the country? Because Billy Martinez came over. Years ago, didn't he?
Yeah, it was.
Was it Matt?
It was Matt. Yeah, Matt was kind of involved with it. I'm not entirely sure where things sit, but yeah, Slims are definitely.
But it kind of had a bit of a false start in the UK, effectively. So I think it could be one that takes off quite a lot if Slims manages to push it out.
Absolutely, and particularly if prices come down a bit, because at the moment the prices are all based on kind of importing standalone.
For some reason it's really expensive to import stuff.
Yeah, I wonder why. It's almost voted on it. That was an interesting product, and we've done some compound stuff. Again, 3D were impressing there particularly. We applied the SI3D Cerebide, which I've been calling Carbide for the last 3 years or so, but Cerebide, from Nanolex on your very pretty Peugeot. Mm-hmm. Your missus's very pretty Peugeot. Yes. And the big thing about that is it's supposed to be ceramic coating that fills. Now, all ceramic coatings can potentially fill to a small extent.
Yes.
And this one is not a miracle cure, but of the filling abilities of them, it's certainly in the top categories.
Yeah, it's... There was a product out from Kamikaze several years ago, which you had to apply with a special... I think it was like a felt or a microfiber pad or something like that, that would generally do some really good filling ability. That's kind of what we were expecting from this. It didn't do as much, but it didn't need as much work, if you like. To me, I still think for new cars that come out that either don't need polishing, not that there are many of those, but certainly just after a very simple one stage, or cars that do come out in really good nick, it's pretty good for new car protection. It fills the last of any little sins that might have appeared from a pre-wash. Even a safe pre-wash, you're still going to put some marring into brand new soft paint to an extent.
True. True. And so, yeah, no, interesting product. And then System X glass sealant you really liked, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's since faded a little bit in its effectivity. It could be a case of it needs unblocking, because we have had a month or so of salt on the roads and stuff like that. When it was first on there, though, what impressed me about it was that it wasn't affected or rather it didn't affect the screen wash, because normally when you put a highly hydrophobic coating on there, you put your screen wash on and the screen wash bounces off before it's had a chance to do in the clean, which is a real bugbear in summer when you've got bugs on the windscreen. But no, it's so far performed fine. I just need to give it a clean off and see if it
still going,
rejuvenates back.
Yeah,
no doubt it will.
We had some old school wax from Car Gods, which was very nice. We did 3D epoxy, which is a butter wet wax sort of smell.
Beautiful. It smells like 10 years ago. I love it.
Trip down memory lane. VP Racing, so they're not in the UK yet. We got sent some from the States, and they're kind of debating whether to come to the UK and how to do things. And I know the chappie who's involved. We go way back in the publishing world to Future Publishing when they used to do car stuff. And so we got some bots through, had to play around. Interesting stuff, different, and it's ideal really for literally the motor racing set who want to kind of quickly wipe down and protect their cars, make them look pretty in the paddock, rather than for detailers who want to spend hours over it. So it's a different take on things. We did a follow-up as well on...
I know, we did a follow-up. We never do follow-ups.
I know, it's really
We always
good.
say we're going to do follow-ups and we don't. But no, this was a bit out of the blue. This was when we were doing testing on the other products. We cleaned off my Merc for it, and suddenly noticed that there were sort of 2 or 3 light patches of products working on the rear
spoiler.
Spoiler, that's the word I'm looking for.
The wing. And so that was cool. And we tested originally 5 products on there, and 2 you could still see were remaining, and then the Gliptone was
so I'm not going to say it was surprising that was the one that was still there, but in the company it was in, I wouldn't have said that one would have been the longest lasting. Agreed.
It was a surprise win, so that was cool. And one thing we haven't actually looked at in detail, we've been sent it, but it came days before publication, and it's coming in now. It's a new product from Switzerland, coming in via Clean and Shiny, Diamond Pro Tech, and we've been looking very closely at all their kind of website and tech and stuff, and really interesting, very, very bold claims. We haven't had a chance to test them or not. If their claims are correct, game changer. Just going to say that, but we'll leave that until we've actually had a chance to use it.
The buzzword for the next year: perhydropolysilazane.
Get you.
Patented, so you won't need it if you don't use them, because nobody else can use it.
In terms of another thing in the new products, is we were much more in depth with some of the products, and one of them was the Glow, which is a high mousse coat from Soft 99. Now this is their creme de la creme coating. It's not in the UK yet. It's been in Japan for a year and a bit, I think, and everything is still in Japanese. We literally went to Frankfurt, nicked it. I smuggled it through on the aeroplane. Not entirely sure how I managed to pull that off, but we did. I think we put it in check-in, didn't we?
It's because there were so many people waiting at the airport to try and get on the airplane, they weren't checking bags.
And this is like, I think, from research, it'll be about 750 quid's worth of coating. So serious amount of coating. And the big thing with it is it's hydrophilic, so it attracts water rather than repels it, which actually makes sense. We explain why it makes sense in the article. The only thing is, as yet, we haven't seen hydrophilia. There's a topper that you put on top of it, which kind of allows it to cure properly underneath, and that topper's so good it's remained there, and that's hydrophobic. So we will get back to you on that one, is the best way of putting it. But the MG that it went on is looking very pretty. Well, it's not actually. It's looking all brown and dirty at the moment, but it was looking pretty when we finished it.
On to maintain, and you liked the Infinity Wax glass cleaner, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. So it's a glass cleaner. As a glass cleaner, I would say it's better than average. It's not the best. I still prefer the Auto Glands. I still prefer the Garage Therapy. I still prefer a couple of others over it as a cleaner. But this is Spotless Plus. It is also a hydrophobic coat on top, so it's kind of clean and protect in one go, and by God does it work well. Really liked it. I did half the inside and outside of a screen, and I'm still in trouble with the missus now because she moans about how one side of the screen works and the other doesn't. And this is literally a spray and wipe. This isn't a glass coating that you have to spend hours claying a glass and making lots of fuss about. This is a squirt, wipe, forget, and it works really nicely, so I definitely like that.
Other bits on there from Fectech again. Labo, Guion released something new with the QM
Glass Plus. Again, same principle, I think.
Last thing on that page, though, is Splash and Rinse Wash Sealant, which I put on the Merc, and I really liked it. It's an additive that you do after washing. You get a 2 litre bucket or something together, add in 40 ml of this stuff, wipe it on with your wash mitt, rinse it off, and it claimed up to 6 months protection. I'm going to say probably more like 3 months in winter kind of thing, but really effective, really works. God, don't try and navigate their website.
Yeah.
Jeez.
They're so wacky. I don't know if it's stuff you drink or put on your car sometimes. I mean, it's proper bonkers. If you're ever at a loose end, and do it on a desktop, because on a mobile it's just impossible. And have a look around, because it's just crazy, Ned. And we've got some of their microfibers which I've been playing with.
Super plush stuff.
Super plush, but they don't look it. They look like thin pile, fine and short pile rather. But my God, they're weird. I mean, seriously, you could sleep with them.
I really am interested to see if Spashan can come over to the UK, because I think they're one of those that's got some kind of a bit like Kamikaze. They've got some incredibly specific niche products that will do really well. I think
they are. It's truly bonkers. It's hilarious. And Tom Zahn is their front man in Europe, so hopefully he was saying he's got some of them through. That's Tom Zahn, who does all the very cool machine polisher designs, and actually we'll come on to something fairly similar soon. We do a big review of Glico, the acid cleaner from Labo Cosmetica. So they've got a couple of now they've technically got 3 fabric cleaners, but the idea is that you do a cycle, so you're using an acid base and then you use an alkaline, and then it goes through lots of information in there for you. We've got the new Geist leather care stuff, some Car Pros, some Furniture Clinic, and then we're into hardware.
Hardware, yes. Buff Bright skins.
Oh, they're fun.
They're interesting. Basically it's a skin for your polisher. So they can do up in different designs, and it's just to add a little bit of protection to it, a little bit of glam to it. They're about £30. Yeah, $30, aren't they?
They're dirt cheap for the basic ones, and then they'll even do you up a custom design. So think of it, it's kind of like a vinyl wrap for your machine polisher, but it's not. It's kind of based on PPF.
That was the thing, because it's very thick.
Yeah.
So you do have to work a little bit to get it to all line up properly, and you can heat it and stretch it a little bit, but it's all pre-cut pattern. To go straight onto a variety of machines. They do they
do all the Flex, all the repairs, and they do things like the Shymate and a couple others that are big in America, the Max
Griots,
Griots machine. So again, it's fun. It ain't as the same quality as having your machine professionally painted by the likes of Tom Zahn. However, it's $30-$40. It's not $700, and it can be fully custom. So it's kind of cool, really. Other bits and bobs of interest: steamer in a box.
Steam in a box.
Like a steamer in a box. Karcher brought out a steamer in a box, and it's all self-contained, and literally you plug the box in, you plug a cable into the front of the box, all the accessories are stored in the box, and you have a decent steamer with none of the hassle or mess of a normal sort of SC3, which is what I normally have.
It is £730.
Yes.
You're paying for quite a very good steamer, but more, I think you're paying for the amount of engineering they've had to do to make this all fit into a neat little box package that you can slide into your van.
There is that, but it is also it is professional grade, so it's grey rather than yellow, so it'll last. And another thing,
does hot water?
It does
for your tea.
No, true.
If you want to.
That's true. But also in the professional range. So the issues we've had, brief rundown. We've seen so many car care professionals who will go and grab a yellow Karcher for £100 from Halfords or wherever other stores have them, and they'll use it intensively for 3 months and it'll break. They'll go back, claim on warranty. Warranty will say, no, it's been commercially used, and people go, and then they say we'll use our professional range, and that's upwards of £800-900. They're like, well, Karcher have been listening, so they've done a no frills pressure washer that is equivalent to kind of a 5, K5, that sort of level, maybe K7 in some respects, but it's professional grade, so it doesn't have all the bells and whistles that your fancy K7 will have, even though it costs about the same. It's about £350, but it's got the proper commercial grade motor that's designed to last more than the 80 hours that a typical retail machine would have.
And a warranty to go with it.
And a warranty to go with it that it covers commercial use. So yeah, if you're starting out and you want a basic pressure washer that's just going to be trusty and last, get yourself one of these. They're called an HD 410X.
And it's got a self-contained reel as well, and a nice pop-up handle and everything like that.
Yeah, it's got bits and bobs, isn't it?
Stuff on there.
Do you want to talk about the active pressure washer?
I can do, because we're going to be able to give one away.
Indeed.
Early on next year. If you listen to this later on next year, don't bother entering. But no, Active are a manufacturer over in America. Obsessed Garage has got a massive thing about them at the moment. They really love the pressure washer. They're not too keen on the accessories that come with it, but the actual unit themselves. And Active, they make something like 5 million pressure washers a year.
For lots of different brands.
For lots of different brands. For a lot of brands that you probably use anyway. I'm not going to mention them because I don't know if I'm allowed to or not, but you can probably find this information out, I'm sure. But no, they are very high quality, really good in terms of power and longevity, brass internals. They're quite weighty machines. I think this one's about 10 kilos, something like that. It does come with a 5-metre hose, which is bugger all use to anybody that wants to actually go around a car.
Unless you have a small car.
Unless you have a very small car.
Yep.
But it's...
God, you don't work in sales, do you?
Who has a small car? What's the point
I
of that?
do.
Yeah, but you also have an extremely long car.
Well, thank you. They're well-built pizza kit, nicely thought out, and keep an eye on our social media for that, because we, as I say, we're having one in for a giveaway. I just want to do a quick shout out. We did, Ian did a proper brush test in the last issue, and Carbon Collective came out top. We've done another one. I did it on a smaller scale, and this time we're looking at firm brushes, and we tested Carbon Collective against Car Gods, and so Car Gods have got a kind of polyester style brush, very much like the chemical resistant one that Valet Pro have been doing for years. And we did a test, and they've also got a tyre scrubber that I quite liked.
One other thing on there, there's a thermo range.
Yes.
Because they brought out the last... Was it 15, 14 or something like that? We put the thermo pads in there, which was this new technology. They're thermologically stable foam. They don't deform once they get hot, and they transfer more of the heat onto the surface, so it can actually do what it's supposed to do.
You can go harder for longer.
They're now putting all of that technology into their microfiber ranges and things like that, so you've got that heat stable foam backing onto microfiber and wool and everything, so that's now being rolled across. So that's actually quite an exciting range that's going to be coming out in the new year.
Yeah, everyone who I've talked to who's tested them all like them. They're like, this is different. We did a Pimp My Kranzel article, Ian did one, and that was very cool. So, in brief, basically, imagine being able to, if you've got a non-total stop, i.e. what suits if you're running off a generator, you've got a little plipper like you do to open and close a car, and you can basically turn your pressure washer on and off remotely, and also you can have your snow foam stored in, say, a 5-litre bottle next to your pressure washer in your van, and you literally just put on a different attachment, and it'll automatically switch to snow foam, and then you can take that attachment off, swap it out with your normal one, and you're back to just high pressure water. So that's really cool and very efficient for mobile car
shout out to ECA Cleaning, who actually are based fairly close to us.
Yes, turns out.
For helping us with the article and showing us how to put it together properly, not like we would normally do with hammers and chisels.
And shouting and swearing. The guide section is a big one this time. It kicks off with basically lazy lights, is what we called it, which is all those things you see on the internet where they say, you can restore misty headlights in 30 seconds. And so I went on Amazon and got various ones ranging from kind of main brand Turtle Wax to 2020, which is a brand from Auto Bulbs Direct down south somewhere, and also one of those strange siphony, kettley, spirity things that
with the shiwi spout on it.
Yeah. Well, we tried them all, and some work, some some don't. But
read more about it.
Yes. We go through with Furniture Clinic on a steering wheel rim restoration on VOD, the Audi, which is still holding up really nicely as it happens. So that's an interesting article and really worth listening to or watching or reading, rather. We're a magazine, you do reading. That'd be fun. And then, Ian, you did one on snow foam. Yeah,
this is an article we'd actually planned to do about a year and a half ago, but various things happened and we decided it wouldn't be... maybe not political, but it's not the sort of thing we wanted to put out to have linked with other things that were going on at the time. But it's just running through all the adjustments that you need to make, or you can make, to change how efficient your snow foam is out of the lance. So whilst you can follow the PIR that we did a guide on in the last issue, you can do your perfect ratio mix and still it will come out looking either flat or like shaving foam, and you can get a bit of a bad vibe about it This shows you exactly how a snow foam lance works, because even we had to actually think about it a little bit. It's one of the, you just turn the knob and it works. It's like,
thought since 1997.
Oh, you don't know how a microwave works, do you? But you can,
I still put my head in it and see what happens.
Yeah, doesn't work, does it?
No, I couldn't overrun the fail-safe when you stick a fork in the micro switch.
How do you turn a duck into a soul singer? Put them in the microwave and says Bill Withers.
Oh, that's terrible. Mike Phillips written us an article, lovely one, on heat management, thermal management when polishing, and how it's important to consider your things like your pad types and what you're polishing in terms of materials and your hand movements and your pressures and stuff like that. So it's an interesting one.
Quite a good thing to go over as well, because it's one of those a lot of these techniques that are kind of commonplace, if you like, for people who've been doing it for a long time and checking your temperature as you go, have kind of died out a little bit, I think, more recently, because the long throw DAs and everything have taken over. Polishes are far more thermally stable, but it's still quite important, especially working on older paints, that you take these precautions as you go. So just a nice little guide checking how to check as you go, and what we need to look out for, especially on different types of paint and different types of substrates as well. It goes into different panel materials like sheet moulded compounds.
Get you. Yeah. We also wrapped, in fact, quite a long time ago, we went up to Toby at New Look Detailing, and we had Uncrashable 3 wrapped in a lovely teal colour.
Two?
3.
We're on 3 already?
Yeah, we're on 3 already, because Uncrashable 2 was a white one.
Oh, yeah.
And this is Uncrashable 3. And there was never an Uncrashable 1 because I did it purely for comedic reasons. Or it's the 306 that ended up on its roof at Derry Hill near Chippenham. But anyway, that was a long time ago, and it still hurts. So we got the car wrapped, brought it back, something went wrong with the car, which never happens for my Supras. And it was basically left standing for a year, and things started to degrade. So we thought, okay, let's start looking into vinyl wrap protection. So we go into some depth, including coatings, on that. And it was an interesting article.
Quite vital stuff if you've had your vinyl wrapped car for over a year and haven't protected it.
Yes,
and
bit tragic.
The regrets you may then have.
Yep, I have empathy for you, and I'm terribly sorry. Mega tests. We did fabric cleaners.
Yeah, we took... How many did we do then? 10? No, 8. 8. We did 8. No, 10? 10?
I thought we did 10.
I think... No, it was 8 stains, 10 cleaners.
I'm
we
too
only
ill
did
to
this,
count.
did this a month and a half ago. 1, 2, 3, 4... 10. Yeah, we did 10 cleaners.
Yeah,
I'll edit this out. It's fine. Magic of post.
Yes.
Yeah, no, we did 10 different cleaners. Our initial tests were to subject them to different generic stains that most of them actually already claim on their packaging that they will address. So your chocolate, tomato sauce, coffee, biro, mud and grass, oils. They all say, oh yes, this cleaner is going to blow them out of the water. So we put that to the test on some white cloth on a panel, probably backed and everything like that. So it was like an interior panel would be. And yeah, not so much.
It's interesting results.
It was an extremely difficult test to put them through. So we were trying to basically knock down. Like we do with all mega tests, we're pushing the boundaries of what these things can realistically achieve.
Yeah.
From there, we also handed them all over to a third-party tester for a change.
Steve.
So we get an outside influence
Of geeky detail reviews and the Car Boutique.
He was on the podcast last month.
He was indeed. Steve is full of energy and enthusiasm.
Last month, the month before. God,
I don't know.
Time's fun when you're having flies.
I don't know. But he tested them all subjectively, where we were very much more on the kind of scientific anal side of things. We did lots of spreadsheets and stuff, and he basically...
Stop saying that word.
Side, sorry.
Yeah.
He tested them on his fancy pants VW the sort of bus thing, and many seats in there, and I think they're probably covered in children and dog and stuff like that, and got rid of it. We tried tomato sauce, coffee, engine oil, vape juice, that sort of thing. I wanted to do blood. I've got a plentiful supply of blood as well. I turned up with it when we were testing other things in the past, but that's the only thing I feel that we probably ought to have added.
Yeah, but I'm going to have to do the cleaning. I don't want to touch your blood.
It's not mine.
Oh, fine, you should have said.
Not mine. We've got freezers full of dead animals here, so I can get as much blood as we need. Anyway, so that was a mega test, and there was a definitive winner, but there were lots of... I mean, none of them were bad for a start, but there was definitely a definitive winner. And so that
in
was
terms
good.
of value as well, I think it was the value of the product that really kind of pushed it far and above the rest.
Yeah, agreed. And Clean and Shiny has been around for 20 years. It's weird because John doesn't look a day over 25. And he kindly welcomed me in for a day, and I basically went around and learned about the history of Clean and Shiny, and we've put it into an article, and he had a massive delivery on that day from his latest acquisition as importer.
I'm sorry to say he does look a day over 25 because we got a photo of him when he was 25 in there.
Oh, that's true, with hair. So that was all interesting. Obviously, it all ties into Detailing World and Wax Stock and all the other things he's been involved with and behind. So, yeah, no, there was an interesting article. Enjoyed doing that. We asked Benoit...
As opposed to the rest of the articles. I actually enjoyed doing this one. The rest of them are a little bit shit, to be honest.
Well, we asked Benoit of Fictech, the French manufacturer extraordinaire, and to basically write us something about the detailing industry in France. And so we've got the lowdown on that. It's really interesting how it's evolved and developed, and there are things that we don't even think about, like, for example, labels being in French. You know, if we went into Halfords and there was tons of products there all in German or something we couldn't read, of course we wouldn't be buying them.
Well, it's like Maguire's when that came. I don't know if that's still the case now, but when Maguire's based in Daventry, Maguire's UK, what were the distributors for Europe? So they got all the bottles over from.
They had to relabel
absolutely all of them for the different markets, and then they started doing multi-language labels, and it got much easier for them, I'm sure. But...
Well, still in France, they do full French. So when you're wandering around your shops, the name of the product is even in French, with like Graves and Acutes and Sedillas and stuff. Maguire's. So yeah, that was interesting. We've got an article from Joel, who is basically social media professional for advertising,
and he's been with some of the biggest companies in detailing, especially in the UK. Chances are, if they're in the UK, he's worked with them, or at least has worked
kind of parallel,
or against them. You can also say.
And so he gives us a lowdown on that. Really useful tips if you are a brand, big or small, or even frankly an independent detailer. It's useful to know. Another thing useful to know as an independent detailer is about insurance and how the industry is changing and sort of moving and shaking at the moment. And Lloyd,
none of them like Valiant companies.
No, they are
high risk,
very unfavoured. So it's good to read, particularly if you are running your own business. But that's the nature of Trader Talk, which brings us to the finale.
Yes, John's Renault 5.
Indeed, you might have seen it at Wax Stock.
You might have heard it on the podcast. It's now in the magazine too. Woohoo! No, but this was really good because we actually managed to get all of the process photos from him as well. Mm-hmm. So it's a step-by-step guide. Similar, if you've followed the story for the last 5 years or something like that,
quite a while,
on his dedicated Facebook page for the build, you will see a lot of recurring photos, but this is assembling everything into one place, and some of the behind the scenes photos that weren't otherwise released.
Lots of stuff. And it's interesting how the level he went to. It's kind of cool. I just noticed we've got a picture there of Rob, Mr. G Technic Earl having a gander at Wax Stock, I presume. The torch, very cool. So that is effectively issue 16. It is available at prodetailermagazine.com. Do get your copy if you haven't already. Do think about subscribing, because then it'll come automatically.
Internationally speaking, if you're in Ireland, you can get it at
washme.ie.
If you're in the States, you can get it from Detail Division, who have it in stock over there.
Detaildivision.com.
And if you're over in Benelux, which stands for
Belgium, Netherlands and Luxembourg.
Guys, it's an education day here. Or, frankly, anywhere else on mainland Europe, you can order direct from JPD.
Yes, and they have a separate website.
Yes, which you can find on our website, because we put a little link on there for you.
Good. Saves us remembering it, because it's not JPD, it's something else.
Saves us filling out Royal Mail labels for customs.
How can you say us?
Because I do it occasionally.
CN22 forms.
When you're lagging off somewhere else on your wild rides.
I took 1 week off. 1 week. And other news in terms of what's happening in 2023.
Asteroids. We're going to be asteroids and meteors. There's going to be fire and brimstone. I think some sort of...
Yeah, but we don't care about that stuff.
Detailing was. Oh, yeah,
detailing was. So
that.
We'll be doing another podcast in the spring, another season, proper one with guests and stuff like that. I've already put feelers out. We are going to be doing a tour, probably to Germany. Again, I'm going to be putting my feelers out. They're going to get well used this week.
I was wondering what was tickling.
Yeah. Oh, hello. So it is going to be Germany, we think. We're considering Poland as well, but at the moment, Germany, we've got lots of people we want to go and see and say hello. So we're going to go and sort something like that. And it's going to be pre-issue 17 as well. I'm also touring the UK as part of the PVD tour. We're going to go around and see lots of members and do kind of an update tour, which will be fun. And we'll be following that on the social medias. Apart from that, what else?
No, there's one last thing, because next year...
No.
Next year, what we are going to start doing, we had a tidy up in the office for the first time in a long, long time.
Yes.
And we've got loads and loads of stuff. So we're going to start giving it away.
Yeah, I've looked at it now.
Yeah, shelves full here, isn't there? We're going to start doing that from sometime in January, I guess.
Yeah.
Most of that will be via social channels, so do try and follow us on Instagram and Facebook if you don't already, and there'll be competition coming up there. The other place you'll be able to get some of the bigger prizes, because we've got some pretty huge things here as well.
Yeah, we've got machine polishers, we've got pressure washers, we've got all sorts.
We're going to be doing those to kind of a bit slightly more dedicated followers via our newsletter. So
hardcore one.
If you haven't signed up yet, sign up on the website. We send it out once a month. It's nothing spammy. It's just general what's happening in the detailing. But what
you say we send it out once a month.
We do send it out once a month. It's just I've been sending it to the wrong address. My mum loves it though. It's great. Yes, you'll get an email in your inbox once a month just saying, hey, this is what's going on, and you can also win something really cool. So go on the website, sign up to that, and bag yourself some gear.
Yeah, absolutely. More information will be on the social medias in due course. Social medias. Anyway, meanwhile, all it leaves us to say is we hope you've had a very nice Christmas and New Year, and we are looking forward to touching base with everyone in 2023.
Have fun.
Bye-bye.